Hello again. Welcome to Quoth Raven Lewis Bright Raven Thursday night roundtable. Been a long time since we've had a roundtable episode, and returning from a long time ago. Been a while since he's been on the show. He's got a crowdfunding campaign on the platform Crowdfundr. The Baboon. This is the first book that'll be available on the campaign. The most of minutes. But his current campaign is called The Temple of Eternal Life, I believe. And my guest at this time is Jamie Jones.
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing okay. That was correct. The Temple of Eternal Life?
The Temple of Eternal Life, yes.
Yeah, I thought I remembered it right. So it's been a while since we've had a Baboon book. This came out in, 2020, 2021?
What are we, I think it was 2019 is when I launched that first book. It could be 2020. Now I don't know. Now that you say it, I'm unsure.
It's copyright 2017 on here.
Well, that's even crazier. So it's been longer than that. That also might be a typo.
I hope so.
I hope so too. That doesn't seem right. 2017 seems too long ago. I think it was 4 years ago that I started the book, and 3 years ago that the Kickstarter happened.
It couldn't be 2017 because I didn't even start doing podcasts until 2019.
I wasn't working on the Baboon in 2017, so that's incorrect.
Yeah.
So it must have been 2019.
Yeah. Okay, that's cool.
It's been a while since I've done a proper hardcover book. I did a couple of I've done a lot of mini comics, and I did a couple kind of one-shot stuff. I did a Baboon Pink Lemonade Jamboree with Nick Cagnetti.
With that kid. Yeah, right.
And then last October, I did a one-shot 32-page Skull of a King book.
That's right.
But a lot happened.
I should have had those with me. I forgot about them. I apologize.
It is okay. So a lot has happened in the last couple of years. I moved. I was working on a book for Comixology's original Quarter Killer that I did with Vita Ayala and Danny Lore. And that was a 150-page book. And then I was also doing Tales of Monkeys Fighting Robots.
Right.
And so a lot happened in the 3 years in between what I consider book one and book two.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
All righty. Well, we know that. I'll let you go ahead and tell them what the Baboon is.
The Baboon is my love letter to pulp action adventure comics of the 40s and 50s. It is an all-ages book in the vein of Johnny Quest and Indiana Jones, and also for a more reference thing, The Mummy, the Brendan Fraser Mummy movie. Brendan Fraser's hot right now, so I'm going to talk about Brendan Fraser. And that is one of my favorite movies. That's one of my favorite franchises. But I love the spirit. I love Buzz Sawyer, and I love Terry and the Pirates, and that is what really inspired me to go in the pulp action adventure realm and genre. And this book is just the latest adventure in the Baboon's journeys. It's 94 pages. It is the longest Baboon book to date. And he goes deep into the jungles of South America to find the Temple of Eternal Life.
And again, I'm going to quickly, I'm not going to cut you out here. I'm going to just try and get this to get a better sense. This is the first book he did, hardcover. This will also be hardcover for the new book, the 94-page book, Temple of Eternal Life. Nice and thick, hardcover. They're $25 plus shipping, I believe. Is that correct?
Yes. Yes.
And let's go ahead and show folks what your art style is if they're not familiar. And this isn't the only art style that Jamie draws in, but this is the style particular to the Baboon.
Yeah, it's big, thick, chunky brush strokes. The coloring has changed dramatically in the last 3 years.
Well, this is more of a I don't want to call it flat color per se, although it is kind of flat, but very traditional old school coloring.
The coloring still stays in that traditional old school coloring. It is I consider it flat colors, but the process that I use now is a little different. I think it gives it a little more. It feels more old, in a way.
More classic. Okay.
More classic. Yes.
All right. That's cool.
Similar to the way that the Skull of a King. It's colored in the same way that the Skull of a King book is colored.
Okay, let me go ahead and...
Which has much more of a grain texture that is right on the colors. And I'm color picking directly from old comic strips that I have scanned. So okay. It has that kind of, that feel.
All right. I was trying to figure out how to give you the whole page, whole screen so you could show it better, but I haven't been able to. It's not letting me do it. Silly machine. But
computers, man.
Yeah. When did the campaign launch? You've had it for a couple of days.
2 weeks ago.
Okay.
We are on the 2-week mark, okay. And so I'm halfway done with the campaign. When did it launch? I could not tell you what day that was.
All right, let's go ahead and share.
It ends November 18th. That's the important thing.
Okay, well here is the actual page. This is on Crowdfundr. North Free has a question. As a Canadian citizen, he's curious why you only ship in the U.S.
That's not. Should not be a factor. I do ship in Canada. It is. It has been updated. If it's not updated, I will update it. It might only be certain products that ship to Canada, but if that's the case, I've also been talking back and forth with Crowdfundr to get shipping to Canada added to the campaign. Mm-hmm. When I launched, they were like, "Oh, you can just change that," and for whatever reason, it locked me out of changing certain things. So that has been updated, and that will. You can just shoot me a message on Crowdfundr, and I can directly be able. I can fix this.
Okay, there you go, North.
We have just been having a problem specifically with my campaign and shipping to Canada.
Okay, yeah, there you go. Yeah, like he says, there's 81 contributors. He's got a little over $4,500 pledged so far. What is the goal? 9,000.
9,000.
9,000. So you're just over halfway mark with half left to go. So what you say? You're just there at the point so that when we get there, you'll just get to the end.
Right. Yeah, that's the hope. That's the goal.
You gotta start drawing them, the baboons crawling to this finish line.
Yeah, right. That's the next post.
And Nora says thank you, and that's good to know.
Good. Yeah, I try to be as accommodating as possible. but sometimes you do things on you think you've planned for everything on a crowdfunding campaign, and then immediately somebody goes, "Oh, you forgot this," and I go, "Oh yeah, of course." It's I always think anytime you put anything on the internet that lasts for a good amount of time, it's always a practice in just people watching you figure something out and switching to a new platform and all of that. I am grateful that people are patient with me as we figure out this platform, we switch from one platform to another, and all of that stuff. So
Okay. We'll go down here again. A physical copy is $25 plus shipping. A signed copy is $30. You can get both books. If you didn't get the Musalid Menace, it's $50 for both. How many copies of the Musalid Menace do you have left?
Plenty.
Plenty. Okay. Just wanted to make sure that you were like if you're in a limited, I'd want to make people sure that they were known to go ahead and.
No, it's not limited at all.
Okay. Now you can get a signed copy of the second book with an original sketch remark for $75 from any character of the series, your choice. You can get the Inktober 22 mini comic for $6 extra.
Yeah, this was something I just finished and decided to add it to the book or to the campaign, and people have really been jumping on it, which is a little surprising, but it's great. I'm super excited for it.
Actually, that's what I ordered. I ordered the second book and the Inktober.
Oh, fantastic! More comics is always a good thing, I think.
Yeah. For those of you who are retailers who might be watching, there is a retailer tier, $88, which is 30% off the cover price. That gives you enough market to get profit on the book. And that ships media mail. So you can pick a combination of book 1 and 2 as needed. And I'm sure that Jamie will also accommodate any other issues you may have. Just contact him and he can set you up there. You can add a 4x6 color commission for $30.
This is another Inktober kind of add-on. I jumped on to Mike Belcher's All-Star Tober for a couple of days, and people really liked the sketches, and I was like, oh yeah, I'll just add, like, that's an easy thing to throw into a book, that kind of small size. And I really like drawing at that size. So
awesome. 4x6 is like a little card like this, maybe a little bit bigger.
Yeah, they're pretty tiny. It fits in the palm of your hand, but it's.
I think this is actually 3x5. Let me look here. Yeah, what I first showed you was 3x5, so it's a little bit bigger than that.
It fits in a standard picture frame, and that's 4x6. Yeah.
Yeah. You can also get an 8.5x11 full color drawing. Now that's a little bit more pricey. That's $200, but that's pencils, inks, and full colors. And are you doing? It looks like you're doing watercolor.
It is ink. It's all colored ink.
Oh, okay.
So it has a liquid feel, but it also has extremely vibrant colors, which gives it a kind of nice, old school pulpy vibe. I really like drawing with ink, especially for superhero stuff. It's a different. It feels like a superhero, when you have red and green as it can go, and red as it can go. So.
Pop Culture Avenger wants to know if there's any original art pages to the stories available.
No, I don't sell my pages. I don't sell my Baboon pages. I do sell like other things that I've done, but no Baboon pages.
Okay. Yep, that was a good question. Let's see. you can also get the 11 by 14 fully painted cover quality. Um, that's a commission basically.
Yeah. And that is a cover commission. That could also be a commission if you have a cover. And like, there you go. Yeah, it's fully painted. I've been painting the covers for all of my books for the past few years. The Monkeys
Is
Fighting
this
Robots book was painted.
right?
All the Baboon books are painted covers.
What is this painted in?
Gouache,
Gouache. Okay.
which is the old school pulp, the old school pulp paints. There's a theme here.
Yep. All right.
I likes what I likes.
Yeah. No. I mean,
I am's what I am's, in the words of Popeye.
Yeah, it looked kind of acrylic with a little bit of blend, so I figured there had to be some gouache in there. But if it's all gouache,
it's all gouache. Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. How hard is it to find gouache paints these days?
It's super easy.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
I haven't painted in a long time, so yeah, I've got like my acrylics are like 20 years old.
Yeah. I also live in Savannah, and gouache is used a lot for teaching oils. So living in a city that has a big art store, but also has a big student population,
right?
You can get high-end gouache, which is great.
Okay. Yes. For those of you who don't know about Savannah, Georgia, they have the Savannah College of Art and Design, which has a huge, well, not a huge, but one of the more prominent comic art, sequential art programs available in the country. So he's got a huge contingent of aspiring artists in his community to work with. That I'm sure
it's fantastic. It's why I moved here. Yeah, it's great. The energy whenever you walk into a place and you start talking about comics, it's palpable. You can tell that people are really passionate about it.
Yeah, I used to live in Savannah when I was a little kid. Yes, I was over. My father was military, and we were at Hunter Army Airfield. So, you know where that's at.
I drive by it all the time.
Yep. So, it's kind of a weird thing. I went down there in 2007 to talk to the late Tom Lyle, who was teaching at SCAD at the time.
Yes.
And because I was going to possibly go in as a grad student and an adjunct, but they the sequential art department wanted me, but the upper people were like, no. So it didn't pan out. So, that's the way it is. So it's like if that had worked out, I would have moved to Savannah back then myself.
Yeah, sure.
Of course, you can get the PDF version as well here. I don't know why people. How do the PDFs work for you? I mean, are they selling okay or?
PDFs, the way I treat PDFs, and I am super fortunate that is an aspect to all of this. A lot of creators buy PDFs because if you're buying comics all the time, it piles up. I've got a pile of comics that I've gotten from Kickstarters and crowdfunding campaigns that just sit, in a stack and just ever grows. PDFs are great. They do supplement, or they used to rather, really supplement the shipping costs in what a Kickstarter is. And this gets into some of one of the things that I think Crowdfundr does really great, and it's a thing that I have been trying to get Kickstarter to do since I started using Kickstarters 5 years ago. They collect the shipping cost separately on my end. So you will see the final total goal, and I see how much is actually in the account. So shipping does not... So it is expensive to ship to Canada. It's about the same price as the book. On a Kickstarter, it would be $50 donated to your Kickstarter. Here you go. On Crowdfundr, it's $25 donated to your Crowdfundr. The
The other 50 is going to the other. Right.
The other part of that 50 is going into a separate receptacle that I can view, but it doesn't actually calculate into the final funding goal of a site, which I think is more user friendly to newer creators.
Yes. I think that's a great idea.
It's what I've been trying to get people to do. I've been trying to get Kickstarter to do it for years.
Well, I don't know if Indiegogo does it or not, but
yeah.
North asks, or he goes, I was wondering how you got those colors. Ink. I'm tired of digital coloring. Well, the thing is, it's not that digital coloring is a bad thing. It's how you use the system. A lot of people over render. A lot of people are trying to get this ridiculously glossy look. You can do digital colors and get the same effects as what he uses with the ink. It's just the person knowing how to do it and utilizing it correctly.
You've got to consider a lot of you're considering paper quality, like how does the ink that you're using sits on the paper. And I do all of my comics are colored digitally, but when I do commissions, it's a lot more fun. Now you can get a fully colored commission and it has a similar feel to what the actual page looks like. And I am able to achieve that kind of only through ink. I tried doing it with watercolor, but it doesn't hold. But also now that I paint and I work with gouache, it's easy for me to make a painting look like something I'm going to produce on the page as well, which is nice.
Well, you figure the coloring with ink and coloring with watercolors and gouache, they all have similar layered structures.
Sure.
And like you say, it depends on the paper you're using, how the ink will spread a different way than watercolor will. And watercolor comes out a lot lighter, so you have to do a lot more work to get the gradations than you would with the inks. And what kind of ink are you using?
I use the FW ink.
Okay, I've heard of that.
It's this, Dollar Rowley.
Yes, I've heard those.
I can. This is not. But it's FW. They sell it at stores, at like all art stores that I've gone into. They sell it at Blick. You can get them online. But a few years ago, I went and just bought the entire set, and it's paid for itself. Yeah.
That's what matters.
I get to do commissions for $200. The entire set cost me $200. That's what it. Yeah, they're relatively cheaper than also buying. I've also had these for 3 years, and it's like I haven't even made a dent in them. They're great.
Awesome. Okay. Obviously, Vita actually bought this. Okay. I didn't see that before. Let's see what I got here.
Vita is one of my best friends, also the editor of the Baboon. That is.
Oh, okay, that's cool. Hopefully that doesn't turn people off. Because you know how people are.
I do. And I will say, hey, if that turns you off, that turns you off. But
yep. There's a little bit closer look at the Baboon mini comic for the Halloween trick or treat, featuring Monkey Bones, the nephew of the Baboon. A little bit closer there again of the Plastic Man sketch there. So let's see here. Like I said, I ordered just the regular book and the mini comic. I thought that was fine. But let's talk about this Crowdfundr thing here. Originally, you were on Kickstarter. Obviously, you were trying to get them to do what you were just talking about separating the money and showing you where your money was going. That is a big bonus, I think. Good thing for them to do. What other aspects?
There's a lot of things. I think the psychology of the buying market, you can change the verbiage directly on Crowdfundr, and that changes a lot, right? I have a book that is completely finished, and I'm only trying to fund the printing of the book. Being able to change it from a reward tier to a buy this product, the psychology of that for me just works better. Crowdfundr is also really great on their back end for creators. They have a creator hub, and you can contact other creators very easily through that platform. You can see, what you need to do. If I have a question for Crowdfundr, I can easily you're assigned a certain person from Crowdfundr, and you can just email them. Like this Canadian problem, the Canadian shipping problem is easily fixed because I have a person that I can directly communicate with, and they'll go, "Oh, cool, we've gone into the system, we've changed everything," and that's super nice. It's also, they collect things differently than Crowdfundr or than Kickstarter. They are able to the way that they build your email list outside of it, or rather in the actual program, is different than Kickstarter. There's so much I think that's really useful and really nice that the site provides. It's a site built for this kind of thing, for publication, right? They have a games tab, they have a comics tab, but if you look on their site, comics is the first thing in the list, just on the straight Crowdfundr site. And I think that's really telling on where their priorities lie, is in I think physical media, where it's comics, games, books, right? They really want to see you make something that you're going to be able to deliver as a product. They also have a separate Funzar is what, or Fundar is what their parent company, and that's what Crowdfundr was beforehand, and that's used for charity raising, right? They have separate sites for all of these different implementations that you would have for some kind of thing. So it's not like Indiegogo and Kickstarter have these strong, it's like, this is Kickstarter, you can do whatever you want on it, and this is Indiegogo, and you can do whatever you want on it. Crowdfundr will direct you to the site that is built for the certain thing that you're trying to do.
Okay. Pop Culture asks, how long does it take you to do an original page?
Ooh, good question. It depends on the page. That's a thing. But a typical day, I can do about 2 pages. I try to keep typical 9 to 5 hours. So I guess that would be a 4-hour page.
Okay, that's pretty fast, actually.
If I'm booking it, I can do a lot more. But if I'm I'm not,
I mean, really, that is a lot. I mean, that's fast these days. I mean, yeah, I'm anciently slow anyway, but I mean, my style is much different than yours to begin with. But I usually take anywhere from 12 to 15 a page.
Oh man, I don't think I have it in me. I think when I was young and I was starting to I was interested in comics. The shop owner that I would go to, he is a shop owner from the 80s, and he helped some guys that were inkers for Image at the time. So He told me that I needed to. He was like, the advice he gave me was, Jack Kirby could draw 5 pages a day. You are not Jack Kirby. Shoot for 4. And that I took that to heart.
Oh, geez.
I took it to heart, and I learned how to draw 4 pages a day. And
well, I could do 4 pages a day, but it's not in the same style that I do.
Sure, yeah.
I mean,
that also, like, the way I draw the Baboon is very different than I do a web comic now called Lorenzo Cult, which is the first spin-off of the Baboon, and I do. It takes me about 2 hours a page to do that book.
I mean, I just don't think you could do that in 4 hours.
I don't. Yeah, no, probably not. Yeah,
that's my art style. So
yeah.
kind of a little bit of a problem there.
There are people who, like, I tell this. I am not a great artist. I think I'm a good comic artist, right? I can bust things. I can produce pages, and that's where that's where I keep it.
Yeah, very good pace. It is. It's awesome pace. It's based on old pulps. Any particular title or storylines have an heavy influence on this series? He mentioned The Spirit.
The Spirit's a big thing for me.
Terry and the Pirates, I believe you said as well.
Terry and the Pirates. Jamie the Monkey Bones wears a striped white T-shirt, long sleeve shirt. It's based off of Terry. That's a big influence on me.
Yeah. Let's see. I'm trying to think of what else was in here. I'm trying to think. There was this old TV show on the ABC in the 80s. It had Stephen Collins in it. He was a pilot.
Oh gosh.
Tales of the Golden Monkey.
Yes.
I was thinking
I had never seen Tales of the Golden Monkey, but I did the first Baboon book, and my buddy Scott Blair, who is an artist, was like, "This reminds me of Tales of the Golden Monkey." And he and his dad he was like, "This was the show I watched with my dad growing up, and this is what this reminds me of." That has become just a touchstone in something. Like The Mummy, of course, is I guess the newest thing. I'm a big fan of Buzz Sawyer. I'm a big fan of Popeye. What else have I been reading? Dick Tracy is new in the grand scheme of things, but I've been reading a lot of Dick Tracy comics. Old Floyd Godfreyson Mickey Mouse comics is maybe the unsung hero of what the Baboon actually has become and turned into. That stuff, those old Mickey Mouse comics are so good. They're too good. They're too good for what they are. They have no right to be that good. That and Carl Barks Duck comics are obviously something. But those Floyd Godfreyson Mickey Mouse books, man, there is something about them that I can't stop reading them. They're great.
And guess who just popped in the room? Nick.
Oh, Nick Cagnetti, my friend Nick.
Yes, and of course, congratulations to Nick on getting Pink Lemonade to Oni Press.
Yes, there is. I don't know if I can divulge this, Nick. If you're in the chat still, let me know if I can divulge the cool thing in issue 3.
Okay.
I don't want to, like, it's a thing.
Yeah.
But
North Free says, I'm truly impressed by Jamie. No bull. To try and aspire and achieve a near Kirby work rate is rare these days, or at any time for that matter. Yeah, that's true. But I mean, keep in mind, he's not just doing Baboon. He's got that digital comic Colton, and for years he was doing Monkeys Fighting Robots with his collaborator Matthew Sardo, who would be here, but it's his birthday today, and he had other plans. But we wish him a happy birthday anyway. I didn't even invite him because I knew he'd have to say I can't come. But
he just moved, and he has 3 little girls who are lovely, lovely little kids, and I'm glad that I think gets a day to himself.
Yep,
because I know he's been working like crazy.
Good to see a creator who knows a history of comics.
That's all I care about. So much. It's all history of comics. It's all
He says go ahead and divulge your way.
Okay, great. Fantastic. The Baboon is in issue 3 of Pink Lemonade. He's got a little cameo.
Okay.
It takes place, so technically the Baboon Pink Lemonade Jamboree is issue 2.5 of Pink Lemonade.
Okay.
And Pink Lemonade goes on an adventure with the Baboon and then talks about it in issue 3.
Okay.
Super cool.
All right. Yes.
Nick just told me that this was going on, so I'm very pleased.
Oh, yeah. Well, hey, anything to get the notice. Hopefully you can put a little caption and go check his book out too.
Yeah.
Hopefully Oni won't go, hey, we don't publish that book.
Or hey, Oni could publish my book. That'd be fine. That's
yeah, it would be actually. I'd be happy with that because then you definitely could make a monthly schedule.
We also Oni right now is doing some really cool things. I think with Jonah, which is the Chris Samnee book, and Pink Lemonade, which is Nick's book, and I think both of those books are geared for all ages, but not necessarily pushed as kids' books. And I think that's a big thing moving forward in comics. Is
for Pink Lemonade to be pushed towards as a kid's book, because there are some pretty not adult themes, but somewhat mature themes going on in the story.
Sure. But if you look at old media, the idea of like mature themes, there's a difference between mature themes that are appropriate for children, that doesn't pander down for the younger audience, and then World of Gumball and My Little Pony, right? It sits in a different way. I think like the Zorro comics that Toth did, which was through for Disney, those are not kids comics. They are 100% made for kids, but they do appeal maybe even artistically to an adult audience, and that I think that is that's important. And that's one of the main things I try to do with the Baboon, is keep it at a level that is interesting for adults, but also interesting and appropriate for children to be able to read, but then not pandering to either audience, right?
Exactly.
I'm not trying to write in fart jokes for kids, and I'm not putting in innuendos for parents, right? I'm not trying to hit different levels. I'm just writing a story that I think is interesting and fun and is appropriate for all ages.
Yeah.
Which goes in line with Terry and the Pirates, which goes in line with The Spirit, things that kids had access to. And it's really considering what is your audience. Oh, I'm writing for an adult audience, but kids have access to this. And I think that's a big portion of how I write. Jim Henson has, in his biography, it's written, one of the things that he was very, very adamant about was making content that he was very interested in, but then always considering that he worked in puppets, and puppets are bright and colorful, and kids are attracted to puppets. So he would never do anything outside of that. If kids have access to this, it should be appropriate to them. It might scare the living hell out of them, but next season when I was a kid, it scared the living hell out of me, but it was also appropriate.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, though. there's a disconnect in a lot of the modern day thinking of comic creators, because they aren't thinking about the audience. They're thinking of writing pretty much what they want for themselves and their kind, the fan base, which is a very niche audience.
Yeah.
And that, people go, well, we get all these movies and we get all these TV shows. How come it doesn't translate to the comic sales? It's because you're not marketing to a mass audience. You're marketing to this niche that the rest of the world doesn't really connect with.
Right. Yeah, I think the divide between what is a kid's comic and what is an adult comic has grown so greatly that it's hard. And I see this on my side trying to pitch to publishers. I have other stuff that I'm pitching around. Going in and saying, hey, this is a book that I'm working on. And they go, oh, well, this is a kid's book. And I go, is it though? Like, am I doing quote unquote kids things? And I've only really had to consider what my audience was prior to putting the book out. When I'm working with editorial and working with publishers. The Baboon I put out as a thing, and I went, hey, this is what I want to make. I'm making this all ages comic. And people responded to it however they responded to it. And that's shaped the way future books have gone. That doesn't mean, like, Brick still smokes a cigar. I'm not going to, like, to me, the character should be able to smoke a cigar. Wolverine should be able to smoke a cigar. That's part of Wolverine. But now that is not a thing.
Well, actually, here's the thing. Chris Claremont did a beautiful scene in issue 196 of Uncanny X-Men where he was smoking a cigar and Kitty Pryde was sitting there beside him. She couldn't stand the smell, so she grabbed it and took a few tokes and just started gagging like crazy. And he's patting her on the back. How the heck do you stand there? He goes, I got a healing factor, hon. Thing. It doesn't bother me, but you learned. Teachable moment. And I just thought that was brilliant.
It is. It's a way to get around it. It also adds to the character of Wolverine, right? Like, we have something. He's like, yeah, you shouldn't smoke. Don't smoke, but I do because it doesn't hurt me, right? Like, there is something to that that's really, really special.
Yeah, but how long ago was that? That was 85. Here we are in 2022. Right. We can't do that because we got to protect everybody.
Well, there's a mandate, right? No Marvel characters can smoke unless they're villains.
Yeah.
Right. Villains can smoke. And I'm like, well, everyone's grandpa smoked. Like, that's part of, like, is every grandpa a villain? That I have a
yes, they are.
I have a hard time with that.
They're secret villains that are retired now, and you don't know what they did.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yes. And when they get angry, they poison all the candy for Halloween.
right, exactly. Yeah.
But anyway, so like you said, you mainly went to the platform for Crowdfundr because of the different aspects of the system that you feel are better, more creator friendly.
Yes.
You said there was a creators hub as well.
There is. Yeah.
And I was kind of wondering, because Indiegogo has their CG crowd and their non-CG crowd. I don't know what Kickstarter does or doesn't have, but it gets very, what's the word for it? High school cafeteria?
Yeah, very, very clicky, very
clicky. That was very
fast. Yes.
Yeah, and I was wondering if you've seen that with Crowdfundr yet.
No, actually, the second I said I was moving over to Crowdfundr, or I announced it to people, I had a big influx of people who, one, used the site, joined the Creator Hub, and I was asking questions, and people were responding, and there was a big back and forth. I also, the publisher Black Eye Books, who publishes Dwellings, Jay Stevens Dwellings,
Mm-hmm.
reached out to me and said, "Hey, if you ever have any questions about stuff, moving from one site to another is tricky," and it's been very good.
Okay.
And also, Crowdfundr as a site has been very great about the site, actually promoting the product, right? They want to promote who is on their site. So if I tweet about Crowdfundr, they will retweet it, right? Every single time.
Okay.
That's not a big thing. Like when you are the sole person creating something, right? That's important. That means something to me. It means something. It's a real small business helping small business feel, and I'm very, very much about that life.
Yes,
Right.
yes, you are. You always have been. I can remember when you lived in Florida before you were in Savannah, and you were working with Matt on Monkeys Fighting Robots and other things. There was always something that you were doing, some sort of, whether it was charity work or some other stuff that you were using your art for down there. And
Yeah.
and I was like, why can't these idiots who complain about what's wrong with comics do that with their art and build
a community around what you're trying to do, right? I run the drink and draw here in town. The neighborhood drink and draw is what it's called in Savannah, and it's a small bottle shop that I happened to wander in one night, and it's right next to the comic shop, and made friends with the people who worked there. One of the guys is my best friend since I've moved here, and Lee, the owner of Neighborhood Comics, asked one night, he was like, "Hey, do you want to run a drink and draw?" And I said, that sounds, hey, I should do that. And I just started it, and we've been doing it for a year now, and we have 30 kids. I say kids, they're not all kids. We have 30 people come to the drink and draw every time.
They're 18 and up.
They're 21 and up. It's a bar. Yeah.
Okay. Well, then none of them are kids. I figured you might.
None of them are kids. None of them are kids. There are.
I figured you might have a few teenagers from the college, and I mean, just because you're in a bar doesn't mean you have to be served alcohol.
Right. And we have the occasional underage person come in, and they sell soda and all of that.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. You can do that. It's just
But the majority of them are students who are about to graduate, looking for work. We have editors that come in. We have professionals who come in all the time. We have people who work in video games. We have people who work in.
Well, yeah, because SCAD has such a wide berth of people that come to check out the talent that's being developed through that program.
Right.
So they're always visiting.
We even have the people who are constant now are people who are movers and shakers in the industry. And we treat it much more, or at least I do, treat it much more as a networking event. There was a few months ago, I was looking for work and needed something, and I just contacted one of the guys who comes to Drink and Draw who works in video games, and I said, "Hey, I think I need to get some storyboard work." And he went, "Cool, here's the reference that everyone who works in video games uses." I was like, "Oh, great." And he works for Blizzard, so he works for a major bit, right? So like it means something, right? There's people who live in the city.
See, I wish we had that. I wish we had that here in Columbia, but we don't. We have this huge creative contingent of people here. We've got Sanford Green. We've got Chuck Brown and Chris Sims, and there's like probably about 35, 40 creators.
Yeah.
If I see any of them outside of a convention or a store appearance more than once a year, I've done well.
Right.
And and we're all living in the same town. we live in different parts of town and we have different social groups and we don't really connect like
Sure.
that. I think it's a sad state of events that that's the situation.
It's interesting. I think, I think I started the drink and draw at the right time where the COVID limitations. I think COVID really helped it in as positively as I can shape everyone being at home for
Right.
for 2 years.
Yeah.
Once the restrictions started to lift, people needed something to do,
Mm-hmm.
and this became the thing for artists to do
Mm-hmm.
in town. And now we have a minimum of 30 people every single time,
Yeah.
and that's a huge thing for the community, the bar that it takes place in, and just what we're making.
Mm-hmm. I've never heard of Crowdfundr, but it sounds decent. Do the fans say good things about the thing in terms of customer relations? I don't know what the fans would say, but based on what your experience is, it seems like you've had a much better deal with them than with Kickstarter.
It's much more, fans side of it. I think it works similar to Kickstarter, right? You're still dealing directly with a creator, and if the creator is not great, or you're butting heads with a creator, then that's going to I don't know if that necessarily directly correlates to the platform.
Mm-hmm.
But Crowdfundr is very new, and so I think they sponsored SPX this year.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're trying to really grow their comics side
Mm-hmm.
of Crowdfundr, and I think that's a great thing. I would definitely, if you are a creator, play around with creating a campaign. It's seamless. It's really easy to do. You can just put one up. I was sitting on my Crowdfundr campaign for 3 weeks before I launched, and every time I was like, I could launch right now, but
Mm-hmm.
I set a date that I was going to go for, and so I just got it. I kind of was able to really pick around with it for longer than I'd ever done with a Kickstarter.
Right. Um, Drink and draw sounds like a good idea. Yeah. Believe me, I've tried to have a sort of drink and draw on the show many a time. The thing is, I don't drink, and other people don't want to come on the show if they're drinking because they don't accept. Well, there's been a few, but they're all writers.
Yeah.
It's like, Jason McNamara would be more than happy to come on and drink on the show.
Yeah.
But most of the artists don't want to because they're afraid that I'm gonna embarrass them or
line
something.
fidelity.
Yeah, I guess I don't know, but it's like, it's kind of funny. And then of course North comes back with, it depends on what the art looks like after a few.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Pop wants to know if you trade sketches with the other artists after your drinking draws.
Yeah, we do. I actually just this last Wednesday, I guess yesterday now, we did. I went around to some of the people and I was like, "Hey, draw the baboon so I can have promotional material," and everyone was like, "Great," knowing full well that I will draw whatever they need me to draw
Later on.
in the future of their campaigns. We're all very
Yeah.
It's a great event, and it's just building community, and
That's interesting because I know some of the people down there, but that community has a turnover because people graduate and they move away too.
Yeah.
So it's like you have friendships, but then you always got a new influx of fresh blood.
There's fresh faces. What I have realized now is the people that you meet here, and especially because the internet has changed everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can keep in touch with people. People come and people go, but their
still
presence, their presence is still felt.
Mm-hmm.
And then they need a cover. You're contacted for work, right?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the people who do leave the area are editors. They get a job editing somewhere. We had a student who got a job editing at Valiant and was just like, I'm moving. I got to go edit at Valiant. I was like, great. If you ever need anything, just let me know. We just got an editor at Scout who comes in. She just got a job there. So it's interesting to see the people who are leaving are getting jobs in editorial and not necessarily artists.
Well, yeah.
And that's great.
Yeah, it is interesting. I don't know what qualified them necessarily, but I don't know how.
SCAD has a great system for teaching people how to edit.
Okay.
They run a bunch of anthologies over the year over the semester.
When I talked to Tom, but I went like in between semesters.
Yeah.
And the kids weren't there that particular day when I went. And he was like, we were showing stuff and everything, and everything. And he was like, okay, yeah. And it wasn't Tom's decision, of course, but he wanted me there. But it was I can't think of the other gentleman's name who wasn't there that day. He'd just gone out for a meeting with the dean for the department that day, and they were very much, well, you've been an editor, we need that, to come down and teach that sort of thing. So, and you've been art director and stuff. So, but the thing was, the main thing that blocked me was I didn't have my master's.
Sure.
And even though I've taught at like 3 different colleges already, they're like, no, you gotta go get your master's. I'm like, okay, how many? I could always adjunct and be a TI while I'm getting my master's here, if you really want me to do that, because there were things I needed to learn back then in 07, like the computer coloring side of it and stuff that I wasn't as familiar with it. But we were trying to work something out, but the dean just wasn't impressed with me, I guess.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, of course, Tom passed away rather unexpectedly.
That I never got to meet him, but everything that people say about him, he was the tops. He was great.
Yeah. So, Pop Culture Avenger says, probably outstreets interest in people just walking in and getting possibly involved in buying comics or getting into creating comics themselves. Yeah, sure. That's true.
It does. It also helps because the comic shop is next door. So we can just send people next door.
Right.
So the cross promotion is real good.
Yeah. See, now that would be interesting because there's no bars like that around the comic shops where I'm at.
Right.
So I mean,
it was completely fortuitous, right? I was just helping out at the bar, and the owner of the comic shop was like sitting at the bar, with other artists, and it just worked. It was great.
Yeah. So
it was things like that really brought me to Savannah in the first place, and being able to build that. And build this community around art in the last. I've only been here for a year and a half. Has been really nice.
Yes. See, like I said, I lived down there when I was a little kid in the 70s, and we went up,
which is a very different Savannah, right? Savannah's changed drastically in the last 5 years than it has.
Well, no, when we went there in 07, and it was very interesting because where the SCAD is, it was the same as it ever was.
Right.
But where the base looked nothing like it did back then, it was completely rearranged. A lot of the restaurants that we knew were long gone.
Right.
But like, where the Oglethorpe Mall is.
Yeah.
Obviously. I can't remember the name of the shopping center that's directly across the main highway from there.
Oh, yeah. I don't know the name of it either.
Okay. That's where my mother worked at the Olin Mills photo place. And then they used to have a toy store called Toy City, which was a chain. She was the lead buyer for the entire chain.
Oh, nice.
As well as the manager for that store. And, it was funny as heck because people from SCAD knew who my mother was from back then, 30 years later.
Yeah.
They recognized her. And they're like, what happened to you? Where did you go? Because she used to do all kinds of things to promote comics back in the day, so it was quite of an interesting thing, because they're like, oh, that was like, oh, if he moves here, we'll have her to promote comics. I'm like, no, she's not going to like open up a store and do that, but not when she was having the health issue she was having at the time. But yeah, it's interesting. But let's go ahead and talk a little bit about this Tales of Monkeys Fighting Robots.
Yeah.
The complete collection. The link to that is in the description to the Etsy store. Let me go ahead and put that up there real quick. Mm-hmm. And this is not listed on the Etsy store yet. Matt hasn't gotten around to it, but
all the books haven't been shipped out yet. So he's waiting until all of the books get shipped out to add it. When you back a Kickstarter, you want to have everything shipped out before you start selling it publicly. So
right, yeah. But I'd asked him about it. He's like, "Oh yeah, you can just send me PayPal." I'm like, "No, I'm going to promote it on the podcast."
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but do go to the Etsy store, because there's the Monkey Fighting Robots magazine, which is, if you guys you've been seeing me do the interview, reviewing the back issue magazine and the other stuff. Monkeys Fighting Robots is kind of like that, only it has comics in there by local artists, including Jamie. And
they just launched their 4th magazine on Kickstarter, I think yesterday or this week. So yeah, that's really cool. It's an entire episode devoted to conventions.
Yeah, exactly. And in fact, I think I talked about that on Tuesday. It was on Tuesday that I talked about it for the crowdfunding.
Nice.
So, there we go. But yeah, all the back issues for that, and the first 2 editions of Monkey Fighting Robots, which is what? Volume 1 and 2? And then this is the complete collection?
Yes. Yeah. I think it's the first 40 pages.
Okay.
Maybe more, maybe 50.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And then this is 104 pages.
Yeah.
So it's significant. It was 3 years of my life.
Yep. And well, let me go ahead and do this real quick. You can see it's a little bit different style than the
still monkeys. I can't get away from it.
Yeah, it's still monkeys, but it's a little bit different, a little slicker art style than what you're using for Baboon.
Slicker's a good word.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really love this stuff. It's
yeah, I enjoyed these before, so again, it has a very kind of epic illustrated heavy metal feel to it, though.
Hey, I'll take it. Yeah, this
even though it's still kids.
Yeah, well, the only kids friendly part about it, that was me. Matt wanted to make it a little more gritty and a little more towards adults audience, and I was very adamant that it had
no. This is Monkeys and Robots.
I was like, hey, dude, when his daughter, I think at the time was 4, and I said, when your daughter is 6, this is going to be the thing she wants to read, and so I was like, we are writing this age appropriate for your kid, and he was like, okay, great. I don't know. I have yet to know if she's actually read it, but I think she'd be down for it.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the thing, though. I mean, he didn't argue with you on that, though.
Not that night.
Not that night. Ooh,
there were so many nights. We wrote that book at a bar. We would meet every couple of weeks at the local bar. We used to be neighbors, just across the street, and we would meet at the local bar, and we'd use their upstairs conference room. If nobody was up there, they would just be like, "Yeah, go and use it," and we would write comics and drink some beers and write some comics, and that's how we did it for a couple of, I think a full year, maybe a year and a half, and then the pandemic happened, and I was the only person he saw outside of his wife and kids, and we would meet on my porch. He would drive over, and we would sit on the porch. We would sit, however many feet away, but we had rocking chairs, and we could just sit on the porch, and we could talk about comics and have a drink. And very late into the night, he wouldn't leave my house until midnight. It was great. It would be like 9 o'clock. We're meeting. Midnight, he was leaving. It was fantastic. Matt's still, to this day, one of my favorite people to talk about comics with.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a phrase, brother from another mother.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Matt definitely fits that.
Yeah. And I don't remember. I know I've talked with Matt. He hasn't been on the show, but I've talked with him about it. And I could just tell that there was this vibe between you two that was just like, yeah, you're brothers.
We hit it off immediately. Yeah, we have a lot of, his favorite thing is when I get really, really excited or angry about some kind of comics thing. And he's just like, dude, if I can say one thing and you just go off. And he's like, we've thought about having a podcast where he just like sets me off for 45 minutes. I'm a pretty like kept put together guy, but he has the words. He has the things that will set me off for 45 minutes.
But like I said, I always say this. There's Jamie, and then there's Dark Jamie.
Yes, there is. When the goatee is prominent, that's the.
Well, no, not just that. I mean, it's just this whole. You're a vivacious, very lighthearted, easygoing guy. But when you go off, you go off.
Yes, and I will.
That's the thing. I've seen it.
I've got thoughts about things.
Yes, but that's fine, though. I mean, what do we call them? Raven rants,
Yeah. I have on my Twitch stream that I do, whenever somebody sets me off and I get into a rant, I have the Looney Tunes, like That's All Folks. Screen, it comes over my head, and I can talk directly to the camera, and we call it Jamie's soapbox, and I just go. Yeah,
I love that. I'm going to go ahead and put the link again for Crowdfundr here. It's a little bit of a convoluted link that they gave me, but
it is. You can just type in crowdfundr.com/bowtiepress. That's also one of the reasons I say this now, having thought of it, why I moved to Crowdfundr is a reestablishment of
your own personal brand.
Me and personal brand, yes. Being able to, I've been doing, so the first Baboon book is under Bowtie Press, and I've been trying to do that for everything that I've been producing since then. Just completely by myself, and now switching over to a site where I have complete control and also the foresight to be like, I'm calling this Bowtie Press, and that is what it is now.
Yes,
is a big reason for the change, and a new company, new site, new change. It all seems correct.
Well, like I said, I hadn't heard of Crowdfundr before you either, because North had mentioned he hadn't heard of it before. And, I went over there, and at first I was like, do I really want to back? This is Jamie. I got to back. What am I going to do?
It's been the biggest thing. A lot of people who have made their...
But then I realized, I'm like, you know what? I buy a lot of stuff that have nothing to do with any of the crowdfunders. I go to, like indieplanet.com. I go to, different comic book stores that are specializing in the real underground comic scene.
Yeah.
I buy stuff from them directly. So what the heck is one more website?
This is so I feel the same way. I buy most of the stuff that I buy is directly from people's big cartel site. I'm a big fan of Pat Rooks, who does Celery Stocks and a book called Pistopia, which is silly and ridiculous. But Celery Stocks is very much in the pulp genre field, and he sells that book through his big cartel site. And the person who brought me over, so it was Jay Stevens and Dwellings that brought me over to Crowdfundr, and then Matt Allison with Cancor brought me over to Crowdfundr, and really opened my eyes to what just the opportunity to have another site. And I think the guys who are over there are doing some really cool things. So I wanted to be a part. I just wanted to be a part of the cool kids. Also,
now don't go with the cool kids thing. That's too clicky.
Rich Tomaso's book Black Phoenix was published. The publisher used Crowdfundr to do his Black Phoenix book, and it caught my eye in a really interesting way. You can also use that site as a pre-order site for the rest of the book. Right. If it funds, you can continue to keep it as a pre-order site, which I think is great.
I noticed that on a lot of those.
As
well.
And that's a really cool feature.
Well, it's the same thing as Indiegogo's In Demand, basically.
Yes. Yeah. What I like about Crowdfundr is it has like all of the accessibility of Indiegogo and all of the accessibility of Crowdfundr. You can choose whether you want to use the Indiegogo platform or you want to use the the Kickstarter platform. It's all there because Crowdfundr was like, well, both of these things work. Let's give the creator the ability to do whatever they want to do,
right?
Which is really nice.
Yeah. Now I got the link there at Art of Jamie Jones. That is his Facebook, his Instagram, his TikTok, his website, everything is Art of Jamie Jones. And if you want to watch him draw live, that would be where your TikTok?
It's Twitch. It is twitch.tv/Art of Jamie Jones. Okay,
Twitch. All right. There you can actually watch him while he's drawing and drinking. Maybe.
Sometimes I am. Most of the times it's coffee.
Most of the time it's coffee. But we don't talk about what's in the coffee.
We don't. It's typically foamed milk.
But I mean, it's interesting because I don't know if they would do have you ever done the drink and draw live on video?
I don't know if I have the capabilities of doing it live. I would love to be able to. It's the internet of the place. I could bring some cameras. We could try it out. You know what? I might try it out. Now that you said it, we might try it out.
Yeah, something to think about. Yeah, but I mean, it's interesting because I mean, you're all drawing, but then there's other people that aren't really part of the group that are there probably in the bar.
Not really anymore. Now people know that Drink and Draw happens on Wednesdays, and it's one of the reasons we started doing it on Wednesdays. It was one of the slower days for the bar, and now
it's a comic book day anyway.
Who's going to a bar on a Wednesday?
The comic nerds, because they just got out of the comic shop.
Well, that is a thing. That's part of the reason why I was like, hey, we can tie this into New Comic Book Day. People can go to the store, walk over, do Drink and Draw. Now the majority of people who don't draw are like girlfriends and boyfriends of the people who are doing comics. So, and they're great. Like the support system and a lot of us, you know, them being able to commiserate dating someone in this field is important too.
I'm sorry.
So last Wednesday, my girlfriend and my friend Michael's girlfriend also, like, they played Scrabble.
Yeah.
Like they were able to commiserate about dating people in comics, and that's important.
No, I just think I think about the group I had when I was in Michigan. We did this sort of stuff as well back then, and yeah, our significant others, if they weren't into the stuff, I guess they did that. I just never thought about it, you know, because
it's really great. Like, the community around this event is super.
Do you have a record store or anything close by?
We do, yeah. It's a little bit further down, but yeah, we have a great record store in town.
Okay.
Great face.
Yeah, because that was the whole thing. We had the comic shop, and then the record store was next door. And the comic shop owner was a real jerk and wouldn't support any of the local artists.
Yeah.
And so I went into the music shop and I explained what was going on and what we were doing. And he's like, well, we'll support you.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But love coffee.
Gotta love coffee.
I only drink Starbucks mocha.
I have a whole system now. Over COVID, I got like a grinder and milk frother and all of the things I needed to like feel like I was at a coffee shop at my home.
Oh my God.
So now I'm I feel super fancy. I grind my own beans every morning, and that feels fancy enough for me.
Yeah. Great, Stu. Yes, thank you. Appreciate that. You know, you can go ahead and buy. Like I said, Tales of MFR should be on the site soon on the Etsy shop. And if not, you can still buy the magazines and stuff that are there at the Etsy store. If someone didn't want to buy number 2 but wanted to buy number 1, just the Mucilin Menace,
I have a big cartel site that I have
what
that
is
up
that?
on.
So I can put that up.
That's bigcartel.com/Art of Jamie Jones.
Big. All right.
But I will say, like, the second book is everything's standalone, right? You don't have to have read the first book to read the second book, and that's the way I'm making it.
Like
it's
that?
Definitely, yes.
Okay.
It's they're made to be read like old Doc Savage books, right? Mm-hmm. And actually, the spine of the book and the back of the book are just rip-offs of Doc Savage books. So I don't put the baboon on the side of the cover on the spine because Doc Savage never put the Doc Savage on the spine. Mm-hmm. And so every book is going to be designed in that sense, right? You're reading a book, the characters flow from one issue to the next issue, but they are their own standalone books.
Adventures, right?
Yeah.
So awesome. Well, we've been talking with Jamie Jones, creator of The Baboon and co-creator of Monkeys Fighting Robots, and Savannah's guru of
Savannah's comic guru. I will take that. I'll take that mantle.
Well, I mean, in a way, you are the guru. I mean, you're the one that's keeping the community together.
Maybe, hopefully.
I mean, you're a big part of it anyway.
I try to be. I'm trying more and more. Right. I've been here for a year and a half. Give me another year and a half. We'll be the guru.
Okay. I'm gonna have to get you a Guru Jamie shirt.
Hey, that sounds great.
All right. All right, everyone's heading out, so we're going to go ahead and call it an evening. Make sure you check out his crowdfunder. Again, that is the Baboon, the Temple of Eternal Life on Crowdfunder. And the social media for him is, well, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Big Cartel, whatever it is, it's at Art of Jamie Jones. I want to thank my guest, Jamie Jones, for being here. If you enjoyed this episode, I'm trying to get this silly thing to do what it's supposed to do, or it's not wanting to do it, of course. We want to share the screen.
Technology, get it out of here.
Yep. If you like this video or you think others might, please hit the like, share, and subscribe buttons to continue to get content from my channel. As always, I thank you for watching and for your support. If you want to reach me on social media, I'm on Facebook at Lewis.BrightRaven, on Twitter at LewisBrightRave2. You can see some of my artwork at deviantart.com/BrightRaven. You've been watching Quoth the Raven, Lewis Brightraven, exclusively on YouTube. Questions, comments, suggestions for topics of discussion for future episodes, email me at quoththeravenlbr72@gmail.com. And if I don't get back to you within a day or two, try lewisbrightraven@yahoo.com. That's all we have for you this evening. Friday, things got screwed up a little bit. But of course, it's not here. Why is it not here? Hold on a second. Let me stop the screen real quick. Where is it? I hate when it does this. Yeah. Hold on a second. I'll figure it out.
Technology, man.
Nope.
That's why I draw traditionally.
Yup. No, what it was it skipped something it wasn't supposed to skip. That's what it was. All right, here we go. What's going on for the rest of the week? Because things got screwed up. Tomorrow, time to be decided. I will do What Did You Get this week? So I didn't get to do it today. There will be no movie night this week, unfortunately. Part of the reason was the movie we were going to review got removed from Tubi, and I don't have a place for people to watch it at for free. But we will get to that movie, which was Westworld, the classic science fiction Western with Yul Brynner, at some point in the future. And then this weekend, I will do some live draw at some point on both Saturday and Sunday here on the show. So I don't know exactly what time, but just keep in mind and check with me on Facebook. The links will be up there when I'm ready to go. Alrighty. Now, we'll see you next time. Have a good one, folks.